What's up, listeners? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the In the Endzone podcast. Just a quick heads up before we jump right into it. You can find this recording as well as some of our previous recordings on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can find us by searching at Settle Down Media on both of those sites. Also, be sure to follow us on our social media pages. We regularly post on Instagram. You can find us by searching at In the Endzone podcast on Instagram. Be sure to follow us on our Patreon. For less than a cup of coffee in a month, $3, you get exclusive content. You get access to behind the scenes stuff, footage before it's even out on YouTube. So yeah, check that out. Help support us. It helps us get better gear, better quality content. So it goes directly to improving the quality, which in turn goes back to you and your viewership. So thanks for watching this and enjoy the rest of the episode. Peace. Lord, forgive me. Yeah. I don't think I want to. We're so back. We're so back.
We're so
Dude,
back. We're so
that's
back.
That's the hardest song ever, man.
We actually are back though. Like
We are back.
Well,
you want every single
know why
person
we're
here
back?
want to know.
True.
Besides keeping fantasy teams, but that's okay.
Yeah, besides your fantasy teams.
Cook
My
muscle
fantasy
milk.
teams.
Would you like a complete cookie with some muscle milk
Oh yeah.
for your dietary restrictions?
Banana and water. You want that, buddy?
Oh, please creatine, please creatine.
Banana and water.
I need protein beer and creatine, please. Anyway, we're here. We're so back.
We're back. We're back.
We're gonna jump pretty quick through this intro. So I'll start. My week was pretty good. Saw all the boys. We went to Eugene, Oregon, watched the Ducks and Boise State Broncos game. Great game, fun trip. Eugene sucks. Worst city I've ever physically been inside. Hated it more than Stockton. And yeah, so that was
me.
that city sucks, dude. All right. Ant, how's your week?
Same as yours, man. You know, we were all on the same trip. It's been a good time. Patriots won 1-0. One of the 4 wins that I'll end up celebrating this year. So that's all I'm gonna say. It was a good week. I don't know, actually. I may take that back. We're
gonna talk more about that.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Zach, how you doing?
My week's been good too, honestly. It was a good day yesterday. They kind of shocked me with that game, but we'll talk about that more. And the weekend was really good besides Boise State losing. I obviously lost my voice a little bit, but we'll get through it. And sorry, Keaton, if I'm going to steal your thunder, but we have a guest on for the first time in the 2024 season.
You did steal
Cody
you stole a little bit.
How are you, buddy? And it's geeking. There we go.
I had a whole thing set up.
How we doing, fellas?
So if you guys haven't seen Cody, he's one of the members of This About That podcast. So go watch that if you haven't. He's been on plenty of lives, but this is actually the first time he's been on one of the In the Endzone podcast episodes, which I think is kind of crazy, but good to have you, buddy.
I'm excited. Excited to talk some football. Just like the boys, we were all on the same trip. Long drive to Oregon and back. Good game. Can't ask for better. I mean, it didn't go our way at the end of the day, but it was still a good game. I liked Oregon. Eugene was pretty cool. I say it was definitely Keaton made a good point about the transportation.
Worst walkable city I've ever been inside.
Man, it was rough, dude.
Yeah,
my calves are hurt, boys. Like I woke up the next
really
morning.
Wasn't there in Eugene either. I don't know. Hey, I'm not gonna share on the city, but it wasn't the greatest. I'll say
wasn't hitting. It wasn't hitting.
The stadium's beautiful. Everything else.
I say it was Stockton level. Come on, Keaton. That's just
Stockton.
I'd enjoy walking through Stockton more than Eugene, but that doesn't matter. We're going to talk about that more.
Eugene to a city with no rules.
I mean, I watched people tweaking out on Fent. I'm pretty sure Eugene doesn't have rules. So, look, we're gonna talk more about that tonight as the episode drops. So tonight for you guys watching, we'll be talking about that on our live. But let's go ahead and jump into some football. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Green 18, red 48. Settle down. Wide 80. Sit hut.
We suck. We suck. Get rid of Belichick. Get rid of Mac Jones. Get rid of our entire receiving core.
You guys are 2-8.
That's what I thought.
2-7, 2-8. It doesn't matter. We still suck.
So Seahawks played the Ravens. Final score was 28-25. Geno Smith, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions.
He's a
Anyway,
fuck, dude.
not really much to write home about that game. Just
Right.
This is egregious.
I don't think
man.
Jared Goff is a top 5 quarterback in the NFC.
Wait,
think- I think
Are you putting Justin Herbert over Jared Goff? first off?
Yes.
It was like an interview for like a new podcast company.
Yeah.
Called
Mhm.
Brazzers. I mean, you could see I'm literally I'm in the headquarters right now, dude.
Dude, I like that intro. I've never seen
Hey,
it.
look,
Okay.
man. The
let's
intro's
see.
awesome, and I still stand by
okay,
that.
okay, Yapperoni,
That's it.
Yapperoni and cheese.
That's
It's not your day. It's not your day to
That's it.
host. Not your day to host, Yapper.
Fine. You took my hosting job.
I made the slides. Anyway, look, week 1 of football, man. Week 1 of football. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. We didn't get to watch. You know, it was not like
So
we
excited.
binged on the couch and got to just glue into a game. Cody and I were driving home from Eugene, and for the most part, I was in and out of
no
service.
sleep.
Do not talk.
It seems like Cody's still in the car. I'm a little tired, eh? Maybe show some
Anyway.
excitement.
And then Zach and Anthony, man, they flew out a little bit later, but you know, by the time their flight hit, some of the later games were in service, and they didn't get service. So we're gonna break down what happened this week and try and go over a pretty lengthy episode. And one of the things I want to start with before we jump into like our week, you know, our game by game breakdown is probably one of the most polarizing topics this whole offseason. That wasn't negative is rookie quarterbacks, man. How good are they going to fare in the NFL? And we watched preseason Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and Caleb Williams all put up pretty good stats. However, they did it against third and second stringers. And so week 1 is kind of the big game to be like, okay, are they going to put on? Are they going to prove themselves worthy? Or, you know, are they just going to have a bad game and hopefully bounce back? So let's go ahead and break down a little bit of how they fared, and then we'll jump into our week preview. I'm sorry, breakdown. I'm going to go ahead and start with Jaden Daniels. I'm going to save the best for last. Jaden Daniels, actually, I think of all the quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks at least, he had by far the best stats. He actually,
Wouldn't that
for
be the
most,
best?
what?
Saving the best for first.
So he had a very good week actually by EPA, which is essentially expected points by drop back. So basically per time that you go to throw the ball, that's how many points you're expected to get. It's kind of a weird stat, but it measures efficiency of a quarterback.
Stat.
Yeah, it measures
I've never
the
heard of that.
efficiency of a quarterback. Jaden Daniels, he was the 6th most efficient quarterback by EPA of this whole week. One of the highest rated EPAs by a rookie in his debut. He did it for a Washington team that kind of sucked it up, and we'll talk more about that game. But his stats were 184 passing yards, 272 total yards. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. Didn't have a passing touchdown, which is fine. Importantly, though, he didn't have a turnover. So that was huge. He was definitely the best rookie quarterback that we saw. And then you're kind of bouncing between two players that really did not shine well. And Caleb Williams, man, you know, we've talked about him all offseason, all preseason, and Zach's been on him, you know, like a fly on rice and or a fly on shit. And look, I'm going to be honest, man. He did absolutely nothing. He looked bad. He really
looked
didn't.
really bad.
Look,
You know, I've
Zach's
been
going to sit
glazing
here. Hold on.
I've been
Zach's going to
glazing
sit here and say, and let me just preface. Zach added this. He became the first quarterback drafted #1 overall to win his first career start since David Carr in 2002.
Hey,
Now let me
I'm just adding stats.
Hey,
I'm just adding stats.
that is technically a stat. But let me further add to that stat to help prove that Caleb Williams was actually the sole reason that team won. He had 93 yards passing, 108 total yards. Through the first quarter of the game, he actually had -14 total yards, leading that offense. He had 0 touchdowns, a 48.5% completion percentage. He took 2 sacks as a scrambling quarterback. You know, he did that a lot at USC. Looked like prime Russell Wilson with the Steelers in preseason. He also posted a 55.5 passer rating. This is by passing metrics. Here's a stat for you. The 11th worst debut by any first overall quarterback in NFL history.
It was
So-
not even just Caleb Williams, though. It was that entire offense that looked absolutely.
I don't know. I will agree. I will agree.
Yeah.
But-
yeah, Keenan Allen was fucking bad too.
But when you're
Dropped a
sitting here,
touchdown pass.
you know, when you're sitting here thinking that this guy is the future of NFL, you can't have this. And I get it. It's 1 week. It's 1 week. And truth be told, man, that Bears defense saved them. Again, we'll
yes.
talk more about that
Good.
game.
Yes.
We have some game balls to give out, and they'll be mentioned there. But look, man, Caleb Williams just did not look good. I don't care that he had that metric. It was an ugly performance by him. There was that play where he scrambled out of the pocket, and man, he looked slow. It's not Pac-12 anymore,
Looked
so
timid.
He
Looked
little timid. He looked nervous.
Mhm.
Moment was a little too bright for him, and that's okay. That happens because it happened to the last quarterback we're going to talk about, and that's Bo Nix. Going into this game, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I was so fucking happy watching Bo Nix crumble because
Go
he
Picks.
played my Seattle Seahawks. And
Go Picks.
this whole week leading up to it, Broncos fans have just been saying, Bo Nix is the new greatest quarterback ever. Can't wait for him to tail up the Seattle secondary with the greatest defensive coordinator in the league, now a head coach. And so they were just John. Tyreek Woolen, they were on his ass. Devin Witherspoon, they were on his ass. Bo Nix fucking stunk. He actually had the lowest rated quarterback EPA the entire week, like of any quarterback this whole week out of 38 total players that played. He posted 138 yards passing, 2 rushing touchdowns, so good for him. Also 2 interceptions, but a 47.5 QBR on 61% completion. It was not good. And I'm going to be honest, man. Seattle gave that really did want to give that game up because they gave up 2 in the same, probably the first 15 minutes of the game, give or take, gave up 2 safeties and almost gave up a third. First time since 2000.
That's insane.
I want to say it's like 2011. The 2 safeties were in the same game. And he couldn't get it done, man. Seattle secondary, man, they shut him down. Highest rated cornerback duo this week was Tyreek Woolen and Devin Witherspoon. The first safety happened on a hold inside the end zone. And then obviously you had your Geno Smith interception because he got hit like in the leg as he threw it because that offensive line
Wasn't
just
that
was
the first
stinking
play
it.
of the game for them?
It was his first throw. The
Offensive play of the
first
game?
play was an offensive holding on an okay pass, and then his first throw was he got hit, and then they gave up a safety the next play, and then like down the field started the second quarter. They gave up another one. But
Tough start.
looks, man, Bo Nix. I was shitting on him. Seattle secondary really stepped up. But man, the Broncos Twitter. Broncos Twitter is funny, man. They this whole week were hyping up Bo Nix to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, and well, he wasn't. And so you know what they did? They moved the goalposts, just like I've been telling Zach he's been doing with Caleb Williams. And I'll let you guys talk about this, but
you're good.
Broncos Twitter came out and said, well, here's Bo Nix's stats in his first debut. Here's Josh Allen's first day stats. And Bo Nix technically had a better game. And the top comment said, we'll be all right. So it's again, just massive levels of cope.
It's kind of like Jets fans, man. They're low-key
Jets fans.
coping right now, too. I'm like, come on,
What were you gonna
fellas.
say, Cody?
Can't be doing this.
Oh, you're good. I was just gonna say, dude, I've been watching Bo Nix since he was in college. Oregon, Auburn, same shit, just different. Like he's always known for just not clutching it up. And at Oregon, his last season, he played pretty well. Like I'd have to give it to him, but it's the Pac-12, and it goes back to looking at Caleb Williams. You go from playing in the Pac-12, which is a very high-powered offensive conference. There is no defense in the Pac-12. Look at every single score. It's a 45-56 game every single time. When you're so used to that, so used to just being offensive, and there's no defense in the Pac-12. There's rarely any good defense. USC.
We just watched it this week.
Yeah, and it's just like you go from that and you go to playing in the NFL, and it's just he looked bad. Like you said, like when he rolled out, this is not the Pac-12 where you can just roll around. You know, he got swarmed like, bees. And, Bo Nix, I just have never been a fan of him. I think everybody hyped him up because he's played since, what is he, 25 now? He's our age.
20,
he played in college for
26. He's
yeah.
Statistically, he's one of the most decorated college athletes that doesn't have a national championship, and it's because I think he's played the most games of any college quarterback in college history.
Yeah, eventually you're gonna have to have a good game or two. But I've always despised him ever since that Arkansas game against Auburn where he spiked the ball, but they called it a dead play and they gave it to him again. One of the worst calls in college football history. I don't care.
Was so bad.
I just don't think he's that good.
I kind of forgot he played for them. Holy fuck.
Played for Auburn, but like I said, I just think it's not going to transition well. I've never been a fan of Bo Nix, and I don't think he's got what it takes to be a starter long term. He's going to throw picks every game. He's just one of those guys that cannot avoid throwing picks, and it's eventually.
He's just the mental wasn't there.
Before we move on, I want to actually comment on this as well, and I want to say that two things. One, he's 24, does not look mature at all. I'll say that in his debut, he did not look great. Number two, one of the biggest things that people said that Bo Nix did not do well was throw the ball down the field. Oregon specifically had a lot of screenplays and short passing plays that tailored to Bo Nix to make him look better. Okay,
he was good at that.
This was
exactly.
Game. This was one of the cons that he had in his draft stock. Excuse me. And we go into this week and everyone's glazing him a little bit. Guess how many yards per attempt he had this week?
How many?
3.3 yards per attempt in week 1. 42 attempts, 138 passing yards. And it says it was a historically bad performance, with Nix recording the 6th lowest YPA, yards per attempt, in a game with 40-plus attempts since the NFL merger.
Yeah.
His draft stock was plummeted, not plummeted, but it was decreased, I should say, or people gave him shit because he could not throw the ball downfield. And it was one of the main cons in his draft stock. And then we see this, and his yards per attempt is 3.3 this game. It's like, dude, were they right?
Yeah.
Hey man, you can't make this up. Stats are stats.
Well, speaking of those stats, we'll get a little bit deeper into those when we get to the Seahawks Broncos game. But look, let's go ahead and break down a week of football, because again, we're going to talk about these players throughout this episode, so it's not like this is it. But we are going to talk about some games, and man, you want to talk about a rivalry that never existed? The Chiefs continue to cook the birds, man. I'm talking about the Ravens-Cardinals game. This was our first Thursday night football game of the season. That final score was 20. Game. What did I say?
Cardinals.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ravens at Chiefs.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to.
Nope, that's okay. I appreciate it. That final score was 20-27 in Kansas City. Kansas City takes that. No surprise there. Mahomes, man, didn't have the greatest game. Didn't have this insane stat line, but he played well enough to win. 20 for 28, 291 yards, a touchdown, an interception, took 2 sacks, had a 102 rating. Rashpeed Rice had a 7 receptions with 103 yards, and the backup running backs, man, had a couple of touchdowns. Not a lot of yards, but they were picking up touchdowns. Going to the opposite side of the field, we have Lamar. I'll talk. Well, we can talk a little bit about Lamar, but Lamar went 26 for 41, 273 yards, passing 395 total yards. He had a 91 QBR with 1 touchdown. Isaiah Likely in that game had 9 receptions, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. Mark Andrew fans, you should probably be done. And Derrick Henry, 46 yards on a 3.5-yard average, but a touchdown. Okay, real quick, I got to be honest. Yeah, go ahead. And this is all I'm going to say about this game. Lamar Jackson was never fat, okay? But when you watch this game, the way that they were talking about this man's weight was like, dude, they were treating him like he was 400 pounds. He lost 15 pounds. And granted, he looked faster and he looked elusive. He did not lose that much weight. But the same thing that we claimed earlier in the year and in the offseason was, how would Derrick Henry fit this offense? And we kind of saw it, because he only had 46 yards. He didn't play well because Lamar Jackson took the ball and continued just to move it around the way Lamar Jackson has always done. And I think that might be the Achilles heel, because you lock so much money up in Derrick Henry that you cannot utilize spending money on other players come deadline. And
I was just going to point out that the Chiefs look absolutely terrifying. They do. They're offensively, they fixed their receiving core. They got Crashy Rice, right? They have Xavier Worthy. They got Mr. 4.3 running the 40-yard dash out there now.
He looked.
You got Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown coming back. Yeah, Crashy Raspeed.
Fucking insane.
Right? You have
I've not heard of that. That's fucking insane.
You have Hollywood Brown now coming back in the next few weeks as well. You have Travis Kelce out there. Of course, there's Patrick Mahomes. Defensively, Chris Jones, he's a dog. He's insane.
So good. He's
so good. They look ridiculous. I'm not going to lie. They look very scary out there as a team, as a whole. Like, I don't know. That's what I saw, and they looked like they were ready for the season. They came out hot. They came out strong. Have not seen that from a Chiefs. I have not seen that from the Chiefs in the past 2 years now, actually, when it's the beginning of the season. Beginning of the season, they've always looked a little bit shaky.
Mm-hmm.
And they started off very slow. This year looks very different already. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing before we move on. Sorry. I know that we only want 2 people to talk, but I just want to say one thing. Isaiah Likely not catching that ball really fucking sucked. But what sucked even more was Patrick Mahomes' interview about it.
I liked it,
dude. Oh my god.
I liked it. Can't hate it.
Oh my god. And then what was even worse about that whole situation was how Isaiah Likely handled it. I mean, I could not believe that. I'm like, dude, take your L humbly, move on. Move on.
Yep.
Don't say the shit that he said.
It's gonna be the Ravens though, all year. All year.
I don't like Lamar, man. I don't like Lamar.
Lamar's never gonna get done. We'll talk about this with Jared Goff, but 2 quarterbacks that won't get it done when it matters. That's my opinion.
He rubs me the wrong way. Rubs me the wrong way.
Had a lot of yards, didn't produce a lot. But look, we'll move on to our next game. This was our Friday game, man. A place that's never been visited before, and hopefully it never gets visited again. And I'm talking Brazil, man. Well. This place Brazil was a complete disaster. We're talking about the Packers versus the Eagles. Technically, the Eagles in this were the home team, even though it's a neutral site. The game was actually kind of exciting up until the end. That was 34-29 was the final score in favor of the Eagles. Just some quick stats, and I'll let Zach and Cody kind of cover this. Hold on. There we go. Jalen Hurts, 20 for 34, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, an 80.3 rating. Saquon Barkley looked insane, 109 yards, 3 touchdowns. A.J. Brown doing A.J. Brown things, 119 yards, 5 catches, and a touchdown. Moving over towards the Packers side, though, you had Jordan Love, who sustained an injury closer to the end of the game. That'll see him sidelined for possibly several weeks. But he finished in that game 17 of 34, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, 1 sack, an 83 rating. And then Josh Jacobs, man, had a really good game, 84 yards, 5.3 carry average. And Jaden Reed, man, kind of a guy no one expected, 4 receptions, 138 yards, and a touchdown. Cody, what are your thoughts looking at that? Anything to point out in the stats or score box?
I agree with it being a disaster. I don't know why they decided to have a game in Brazil. I understand the money aspect and trying to expand, football into countries that don't necessarily know about the sport, yada, yada, yada. But dude, that place is so dangerous. And people are like, oh, well, they play in Chicago and all these other places. I was like, dude, it's so much different. You don't understand. Fast and Furious taught us this. Come on. Let's have some common sense here. But Jordan Love.
This is Brazil.
I think Jordan Love is just one of those guys that I think he's on the right track and he's on the cusp of just being a good quarterback, but he's just not there. I feel like there's just something missing about him. Like you said, he's out for 36 weeks. He was 17 for 34, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he took 1 sack. That's not that's not a horrible stat line. Sure, he could have completed more throws, but who knows, if those were all on him or if the receivers, DBs made a play. But I think I just think the Packers are going to be the same old Packers this year. And that's kind of what I got on it. But I think the Eagles, Jalen Hurts looked pretty good, but I don't know. I don't see I really, like I said before, I think the powerhouses again in this league, and I know it's early, but I think it's going to be a Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl yet again. I know it's early. I'm just putting my predictions out there. It's just seeming like it just looks a lot like last season. I don't know. Jordan, like I said, Jordan Love, I think he's one of those guys that's only going to get you so far. But we'll see what happens.
Great.
Yeah, I mean,
Zach?
kind of just piggybacking off of what Cody said, I feel like two things here. Number one, I've always said that Jordan Love was overpaid. And I'll be completely honest, I think he's a great quarterback when he wants to be and when he comes to play. But when he doesn't, he makes a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw that. I mean, he did not play the greatest game, and he got injured, which sucks for them. And it sucks for me as well because I want that division to be close and don't want the Lions to have an easy road because obviously they're the two best teams potentially in the NFC. But Jalen Hurts, I have no clue how the fuck he had a QB rating of 80.3 because he played fucking awful. Awful. He had
Yardage.
four passes that should have been intercepted. He should have had 4 fucking picks. 4 picks, bro.
Yeah.
They dropped 2 picks and had 2 picks. So he played fucking awful. AJ Brown is back to doing AJ Brown things. He's great. And maybe I was wrong about the Packers having only wide receiver 3s and they have a wide receiver 2 with Jaden Reed.
Yeah. Saquon, man. Saquon as well.
Oh. And
3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. Yeah.
With Jordan Love, I think Jordan Love, I don't want to say that his contract yet was too much or that he doesn't have the possibility of actually living up to the hype to his contract. But I will say that if he comes back and plays well, I'd be happy as a Packers fan. He didn't play horrible. And it's the first game. I wouldn't panic on him yet. And then the other thing I was going to say was I think the Eagles are the exact same team they were last year plus Saquon.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't see
horrible secondary. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. That secondary's not good. It's still not fucking good. Jaden Reed had 100 plus on your ass, and he's not even a top 60 wide receiver in the league. They're the same fucking team except with Saquon.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think, one more thing, just Jalen Hurts. I think it's just his magic is gone. I think it's over. He had that I think that period of time where he played well and everybody's like, oh my God, Jalen Hurts is the best thing since sliced bread. And then he just goes and plays kind of just, average.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see anything different. I don't see any more pop from him. I think he was always destined for greatness, but I don't know. I feel like it's kind of Jordan Love in an instance where they like take good steps forward and then they just take immediate steps back and just play not up to their level. More Jalen Hurts than Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love still has a lot to overcome and achieve and hopefully get better in. But that's kind of my stance on those that game and those guys.
Yeah, cool. Well, look, we're gonna blow through a couple of these teams that just they existed this week. Look, maybe Michael Penix wasn't the worst draft pick this year, like everyone thought it might be, because we're talking about the Steelers and the Falcons. The Steelers took this game 18-10. Kirk Cousins, man, look, this might be just a first game jitters, coming off an ACL tear, so who knows? But he didn't play great. Actually, he played awful. 16 for 26, 155 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 2 sacks, 59 passer rating. The receivers didn't show up. Obviously, when you have 155 passing yards, you're not going to get great receptions. Kyle Pitts, 3 receptions, 26 yards. Drake London, 2 receptions, 15 yards. Someone put Stewie on a stretcher.
Those numbers. We can put up those numbers, fellas. 3 receptions, 26 yards.
Someone
Drake London fucking
get him rocked.
Yeah.
Drake London fucking sucks, Stu. If you're listening to this, he fucking sucks.
Yeah, no,
Take
Drake
the hit.
London's bad. Drake London's bad. No, overrated.
Bad stat line.
Also, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Before you continue, are we still speaking about the Steelers and the Falcons?
Yeah.
Or are we about to move on?
In the what?
Or you
No.
Okay.
No.
Before you move on to the Steelers, though, I want to say this. Last year, before Kirk got injured, he was the second best quarterback with play action plays. Guess how many play action plays they ran yesterday or Sunday? Excuse me. One fucking play. One play action play. Bad coaching. Bad fucking coaching. Best quarterback or second best quarterback with play action plays, and you run one.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not a fucking in the pocket guy. He never has.
He's always been one of those guys that needs to move around. He has to have his mobility.
He's not a
with him, or he
shotgun
just shuts
in
down.
the fucking pocket type
Yeah.
of guy. He's never.
He
been that
almost like
quarterback.
breaks down
Sorry.
like Derek Carr post injury. Like
Right.
he looks
Yeah.
scared in the pocket, like he's about
Yep.
to get
Yeah.
fucking. And I
Yeah.
get the ACL tear, but that's what happens to guys. But you got to free him because after
It was
Derek Carr
Achilles,
kind of,
and
you know,
that's really
got the
important
trains
because a
moving
lot of
with
his
the
throws
mobility.
he was not fucking following through with.
Yeah,
You could
Yeah.
see he was
Yep.
a little timid.
timid. Yeah, that's what happens,
Yeah.
dude. These guys are just shitting bricks in that pocket.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, look, talking about the Steelers, Justin Fields replacing the injured Russell Wilson, who was slated to start this game, didn't honestly play awful, man. He played decent enough to win. 17 of 23, 156 yards, 2 sacks taken, no turnovers, which is a big important piece. 92 passer rating, 57 yards rushing. Najee Harris, 20 carries, 70 yards rushing. George Pickens, 6 catches, 85 yards. Something I do want to highlight, man. Chris Boswell, we're not giving out a kicker game ball today. Chris Boswell, you absolutely deserve it. He scored every single point for this Steelers team. What was that? All 18.
15,
18. Yep. So good for him. Getting his bag. He earned
Insane.
himself a little bit of
Him
a
and Jake
contract.
Moody, man.
Jake Moody had a great game, man. Jake Moody was
my
cooking.
Crazy fucking
He
games.
did.
Yep, Jake Moody is doing well. Look, speaking of teams doing well, we're going to talk about the opposite. Panthers, man, they are still the Carolina Panthers.
God, they're
Panthers
so
played
bad.
the Saints. Panthers
Panthers will
played
be
the
the worst
Saints.
team in the NFL
Yeah.
this year. They will be the worst.
We thought maybe there's an upgrade, but they played the Saints in New Orleans. The final score was 47-10. At one point, I believe it was like 30 to something in the first half. It was like 30-3. So they were getting absolutely cooked. Look, I've been a Bryce Young naysayer. I've been kind of trying to defend him a little bit, but that bust argument just becomes easier and easier to validate because he was 13 for 30, 161 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 4 sacks taken. I believe he was the worst quarterback, the worst or second worst quarterback this week by EPA because of his stat line. But on the opposite side, Derek Carr went absolutely ballistic.
Dude, he went off.
He
He
was
went off.
good.
What a day
He
for
good.
the
And I think
Prime
what
Carr.
and I think what happened here. Well, let me just say this: 19 for 23, 200 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 sack taken. Importantly, though, a 142.5 passer rating.
Fucking insane.
I know it's one game. However, I truly believe what Derek Carr needed most was a rookie quarterback, to come in and steal some of his spotlight, because that's exactly what Spencer Rattler did. I watched in the preseason a confident Spencer Rattler come in and make plays that I was like, Derek Carr is not making these plays. And then all of a sudden, Derek Carr makes those plays. Granted, it's a Panthers secondary that sucks butthole, but you know what? He still made those plays, and he talked this trash to JC Horn. I got 3 touchdowns on you.
I got 3
That was
touchdowns.
that was
so
a
hard,
that was a
dude.
tough
That
one.
was so fucking hard.
That's
That was
awesome.
so hard.
I love when
Look,
quarterbacks do that shit.
Yeah, I think the Panthers are still the Panthers. They're probably going to be an easy win, so we don't even need to talk about that game. What I will say, Saints offense
Biggest
looks good.
disappointment of the week.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
say that.
I've got my favorite, and actually my favorite disappointment of the week is this game right here. Anthony, this is your team, man. I'm gonna let you go ahead and break down the stats. Break down this game.
Yes.
This is Zach's
huge
No, you're
win.
right. You're right.
Zach's Super Bowl team.
This was a huge win. This was a huge win for us boys. Just gonna break the obvious here. Final score 16-10. Patriots won this against the Bengals. I was not expecting that at all. Jacoby Brissett, 15 out of 24 for 121 yards, 1 sack, and a 75.2 rating. We have
Didn't play great.
Didn't play the greatest, but I will say he did well when it came down to scrambling and getting out of the
Good
pocket.
enough.
He played good enough. And
what he needed
while
to do.
watching the game, I saw 4 mistakes that I truly did not like a Brissett, and I was like, that's a lot less than I thought I was going to see. I'll take it any day of the week. My Lord and Savior, Ramondre Stevenson, God, I love you. 25 carries for 120 yards with 1 touchdown and 3 catches. My God, he went off, and I love it. Gerard Mayo actually said that they were going to be including Ramondre Stevenson in that offense a lot more than he has been in the past few years now. So I'm really excited about that, and that right there just proved it all, and I'm super excited about that. And then we have the Bengals. Joe Burrow went 21 for 29, 165 yards, 3 sacks, and 86 flat rating. Yeah, honestly, Joe Burrow didn't play bad. I'll say it. He didn't play horrible, but that offense needs work. I think it really needs some work. The receivers not doing too much. The Jamar Chase, we were told in the beginning of the game that he was going to be on a limited count of how many snaps he was going to be out there for. I don't know. The run game needs work. The receiving needs work. I don't know. But Joe Burrow realistically did not play horrible. Patriots defense, honestly, were looking solid out there against that offense. And I can't complain. That's all I'm going to say. I'm excited for this upcoming week against the Seahawks. Sorry, Keaton.
Nope, that's okay. I believe you.
Yep.
Cody or Zach, do one of you guys want to talk a little bit about this? Maybe this is my upset of the week. This is absolutely my upset of the week.
Huh? Go for it, Cody.
Did you want to talk about this Pats Bengals game at all? A little bit of.
Oh yeah. I mean, Pats Bengals, like Anthony said, not a huge, not a high scoring game at all. Honestly, very underwhelming. 16-10 final score. Jacoby Brissett, man, I love the guy. I think he, he's just a veteran. I don't know how else to explain him. You just
plays the game right.
He just plays he's just always somewhere, and he's always playing just halfway decent to keep him out of the CFL. And I think it was just very underwhelming to see the Bengals come out and only score 10 points. I mean, that's supposed to be a team that's, supposed to be high powered, and they got guys everywhere. And they just, like Anthony said, Joe Burrow didn't play bad, but how many sacks did he take? He took 3 sacks, Anthony?
3,
or was it 3 turnovers?
3 sacks.
3 sacks. Yeah, 3 sacks on the day. Only 10 points to show for it. It wasn't a great day for the Bengals. Not a great day for New England. We will see what Jacoby Brissett is made of here as the season goes on, but I think they're going to eventually have to give a shot to one of the rookies maybe.
They will.
I'm thinking Drake May way over Moonball.
May will be a starter about halfway through.
I've seen Moonball Milton in person, and that guy, I've said it before, he has the most beautiful overthrown ball I've ever seen in my life. It's the coolest thing ever. The guy can launch at 60 yards, no problem, but he has no accuracy. So I think Drake May comes in, develops a little bit more, and I think the Patriots will have a decent season. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm going to add on to that real quick.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Sorry. And the reason why I didn't say anything beforehand, Cody, and why I kind of put you on blast, sorry, I know you weren't paying attention, but I wanted to lift this up because Tyler Lewis had told me that this would be a good talking point, and it is clearly. With the loss of the Patriots to kick off the 2024 season, Burrow falls to a lowly 1-4 in Week 1 contest in his NFL career. Ooh. So I will say this: I predicted the Bengals to win this, well, not win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I don't want to say that, to make it to the Super Bowl, to win the AFC, and for the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to put that out there again so that I don't feel bad or going to get superstitious with things if I misspoke there. But every single year we see this. Every year. They start slow every fucking year. The Bengals start slow every single year. And I think the biggest worry was that Joe looked a little timid. He did not look like he wanted to sling the rock, which I thought personally was a little bit worrisome. When have we ever seen Joe afraid to throw the deep ball? I don't think he threw one. And if he did, it didn't look like it was completed because his stats weren't the greatest. Again, we didn't watch all these games, but you start 1-4. You are a slow starting team. I would not be completely worried. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. Joe Burrow is 1-4 in Week 1s. And again, they always start slow. And part of it this year, I think, is just because of contracts and wide receiver talks and T. Higgins not playing and, new couple offensive linemen, which is a big worry. I was going to say you give up 3 sacks and your whole offseason was basically to continue to improve that offensive line, and which you did. But I think these guys need to kind of gel together, and maybe Joe needs to get a little bit more mobile. I don't know. But I don't think you need to panic yet. And this is kind of the way that the Bengals have started every single year. Like I said, they're 1-4. I wouldn't hit the panic button yet, but that was the biggest prize for sure. Anthony, congrats. I mean, that was
Thank you.
Big game.
I was not
Thank
expecting
you.
that. I'll say that.
Yeah. Ramondre, great game. Shout out him.
Yep.
We're going to talk about, if we have time today, we'll talk about a little bit of this controversy that happened. But look, Tyreek, man, he's fast on and off the field. Jags played the Dolphins in Miami. The final score was 17-20. Tua, man, played insane. Greatest game ever. 23 for 37, 338 yards, 1 touchdown, and a 101 rating. Tyreek, 7 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown with an 80-yard touchdown run. Trevor Lawrence on the other side, 12 of 21, 162 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 sacks, a 98 rating. 0 receiving help today, but I'm not going to lie, man. Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, they looked ass. They looked absolutely locked down by a Dolphins team that I think really spent a lot of money and a lot of time developing a solid secondary, and it showed. And we won't cover too much. Man. Yeah, we won't cover too much on. Yeah, we won't cover too much on the game itself. We'll talk about the Tua situation because there was some stuff that happened that is going to be pretty interesting. But look, we'll move to our next game. The Buffalo Bills defense is exactly what we expected, and that's poopy. However, they did take it enough. That's off the strength of Josh Allen. They played the Cardinals, and the final score in that was 34-28. Josh Allen, man, great game. I hate to say that. 18 of 23, 232 yards. Importantly, though, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. He did lose a fumble, which Zach will admit I called as it happened.
He did. That was fucking insane.
And a 138 passer rating. James Cook, good game, 71 yards rushing. Kyler Murray, though, weird game, 21 of 31, 162 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 sacks, a 91 passer rating, 57 rush yards. However, importantly, Marvin Harrison, 1 catch for 4 yards. For a team that gave up a lot to get him and really prioritize him to be the future of that franchise, to keep Kyler there, they did nothing to scheme for him, and that was a prototypical Cardinals game. That really was. I mean, they did absolutely nothing to get him the ball, and when he was open, Kyler was running out of the pocket and didn't have time to see him. So partially an offensive lineman issue because that O-line is bad. Also partially an issue with scheme, man.
Murray, coaching.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
The whole shebang.
For sure.
A game we are going to talk about, and this is a pretty interesting one. The Bills. The Bears defense is absurd, man. They played the Titans. They took that game 24-17. And look, I'm going to be honest, man. That game did not look good at all for the Bears up until the last part. And DeAndre Swift, look, we already talked about Caleb Williams' stat line, so I won't go through it again. DeAndre Swift, man, only 30 yards rushing. That was it. Will Levis was kind of the guy that sucked it up for him. He was actually the worst player this week, worse than, I forget who we were talking about above, but Will Levis, 19 of 32, 127 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 3 sacks. I have to find this video.
One really bad pick, like right.
He threw a pick.
So bad.
And there was. I'm gonna find this video.
So fucking
hold the Daniel Jones, dude.
He threw the game.
Fell to his knees, dude. That shit was so insane. He's no.
He threw the game. I'll let you guys talk about that while I'm finding this video. But look, man, you take out the Caleb Williams thing, they lose that game 10 times out of 10 if that defense doesn't have four forced turnovers. Is what I believe that they had, and one of those being a pick six.
The last one was just
they hounded.
You can't do Will Levis, and typically Will Levis is a guy that's getting sucked on, but man, he was sucking it up. I mean, fuck, man, he just sucked that shit up. I mean, he was
Okay.
fucking awful.
Yeah. Well, speaking of
That
sucking
went
shit
right
up,
over your guys' fucking heads. But
hey, speaking of sucking shit up, why don't you talk
Yeah.
about Caleb Williams' performance? But before we do
Go
that,
watch this.
let's play
Watch
this
this.
video. Just a quick heads up. Will Levis throws an interception, and instead of watching the interception, I want you to focus on what Will Levis does after he
Yes,
throws
please.
it. This
Please do.
is the best part. Look at him. Hold on. This is a pick six. This is a pick six.
Oh
But
my
I need you to
God,
see.
bro.
Look at
Man is
him.
on his
So bad.
knees.
He is on his knees like,
Dude, that's
God,
so
why did I
bad.
throw that? Where is Gia
Get
Duddy?
up and try to make a play.
Where's Gia Duddy? Is crazy.
I mean, watch this. Watch how quick. He sees it, and it's
Dude,
just,
like,
it's
Why
over.
do you even throw that? Take the fucking
I don't know.
sack.
Take the
Let
sack.
ball.
Take the sack. I'll be honest. You know, there's a couple things that Caleb Williams didn't do great. He didn't do that. So I will give him credit. He does have better IQ than Will Levis.
He didn't turn the ball over.
He didn't turn the ball over. You're right. He did lose a fumble, and he got it back. So,
But I will say, Caleb Williams was clearly timid. I mean, he looked scared. He looked like he was a rookie in the NFL.
and it's a Titans
And
defense that
realistically, I will
great.
say this though. I will say this: that Titans front seven, specifically the front four, they get pressured. They're gonna scare a lot of quarterbacks like they did with Caleb Williams. But
Yeah.
I think Caleb got hit and got really timid, like instantly, because he did not look like the type that's rolling out. He did not look athletic. He wasn't throwing the ball in tight windows. He looked scared. He looked scared, timid, and I think a lot of that comes from what the Titans did. They put pressure on him multiple times.
That's
How many
how you
sacks
beat
did
them.
you say he took?
He took was it
We didn't
3?
include it, but I think he had multiple. Like he took multiple sacks. He was getting hit all fucking game. I'll tell you that. So
Yeah, he was.
hey man, I'm not expecting him to start perfect, but I do think he's going to be a good quarterback still. And again, like we said with Joe Burrow and the Bengals, I wouldn't hit the panic button, but that is scary, and it's insane to me that he's the first number one pick to win a debut game since 2002.
Yep.
2002. That is fucking obscene. That is fucking nuts, man.
It's a participation trophy. It's a participation
Yes, very
trophy,
much so.
but it is a stat.
But hey, he won.
Yeah, we'll talk a
Shout out
little
the
bit
Bears,
more
man.
about the Caleb Williams
Man,
thing.
what a
though.
fucking exciting team.
Yeah, that's
Their
good for
defense is
them.
legit.
Good for them. Look, we're gonna move on. The Texans versus the Bills. I'm sorry. Did I say Bills? I meant to say the Colts. But the AFC South is going to be a very fun conference. We just watched it
Told you
firsthand.
guys.
The Texans took this game 29-27. Two really good teams facing off with two really good quarterbacks. CJ Stroud had kind of an underwhelming game. Took him a little bit to get out of his funk, showed some rust. 24 for 32, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 sacks, a 116 rating. However, Nico Collins was the best receiver on that team. 6 receptions, 117 yards. But the star of this game, and this team specifically, was Joe Mixon. 159 yards, 1 touchdown. Why the Bengals got rid of him after that stat performance, that's beyond me. But it's also probably why they lost the Patriots.
Not women.
Not gonna lie, I underestimated Joe Mixon with this Texans offense.
Joe Mixon is
lie.
insane.
Legend.
Bro, that team is gonna be nuts, man.
On the other
Although
side,
I will say their secondary is still fucking boof.
Yeah.
That.
Well, on the other side, Anthony Richardson only had 19 passing attempts, but he was 9 for 19, so didn't finish very efficient. 212 yards, 56 rushing yards, 3 total touchdowns though, and he had an interception, 2 sacks taken. Hey, still 100 passer rating. The big player on that team was Alec Pierce, 3 receptions, 125 yards, including a 70-yard touchdown catch.
Plays the game right.
Good head on his shoulders. Hey, I'd let him date my daughter. Cody, real quick. Any thoughts on this game? Any thoughts on this game? Or like stat line, anything?
Not really. I just think, like you said, I think the AFC South, I think, is going to be exciting. And like you said, dude, the Texans, I mean, let's be for real, fellas. Since last year, when have they ever done literally?
Yeah, they've pretty much been a nothing burger.
They've just been on the back burner in the NFL where they're just struggling. And now Bill O'Brien, Boston College head coach, guy's successful. He is 2-0. But he couldn't hack it, and I think he was just the worst part about that Houston team. And now they're finally starting to gain a little traction, and I'm excited to see where they go. And I like CJ Stroud. I like him a lot at quarterback. I liked him at Ohio State. He does everything right. I think he just needs some time to really be the player that I think he can be. I think he is by far, has the highest ceiling in my opinion. So I don't have much to say about the Colts, but I think Houston's definitely a dark horse in the NFL this season. And I think a lot of teams need to watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look,
I want to say a couple things before you
go
move
ahead.
on.
Go ahead.
I mean, Alex Pierce was fucking. Is it Alec or Alex?
Alec.
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 Alec. Okay. I think someone said Alex earlier and it confused me. But Alec Pierce, man, that was probably the biggest surprise to me, at least fantasy-wise and just player-wise. I mean, that was incredible. Some of the catches he had was insane. And we'll talk about this later, but that throw from Anthony Richardson is the reason why everyone thinks he's an MVP candidate. I mean, there is maybe one other quarterback in the league that can make that throw, but we'll show it later. Incredible throw. And like I said, dude, the Colts, they're going to be fucking good. They're going to be a wild card team. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be a team that you don't want to play. And I think the Texans are great, but their secondary scares me. And realistically, I don't know. It's hard to make a power ranking. It's hard to think of this division and who can win, but I really do think the Colts can compete. I think it's going to be competitive. CJ Stroud played well, and fucking shout out to Joe Mixon, man. Everyone was writing him off. Man, oh man, did he have a great game. That was awesome.
He did. Well, look, speaking of players that had a great game, the Giants, man, they stink. They stink absolute poopy water. Oh, dude, I'm going to be honest. Daniel Jones might have the worst contract in history because since he signed his contract, listen to this. We're talking about, by the way, the Giants versus the Vikings. I'm going to drop a little stat bomb before we break down this game. Very, very briefly. Daniel Jones has more, since he signed his fat contract, has more pick sixes than he does passing touchdowns. So there's that. But the final score was 28-6.
That's a real stat?
I want to make sure I didn't get duped, like, Ballsack Sports. But look, final score 28-6. Danny Crimes, 22 of 42, 186 yards, 2 interceptions, 5 sacks taken, 44 rating. The offense did absolutely nothing. Sam Darnold, though, man, a career. What looked like a career journeyman. 19 of 24, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 sack, 113 passer rating. Aaron Jones looked like he was a little bit younger than he normally is. 94 yards, 1 touchdown.
I told y'all.
We won't break down this game too much because we have to move on. But Daniel Jones, booty cheeks. Mm-hmm. Next game, the Raiders, man. There's something about the Raiders and the Chargers, man. They just love getting in fights.
In the NFL.
The final score of this game, Raiders versus Chargers at SoFi Stadium, 22-10. Gardner Minshew didn't even play that bad, actually. 25 of 33, 257 yards, a touchdown, an interception, 4 sacks, but a 95 pass rating. The killer in this game, they lost 2 fumbles that resulted in scores. Justin Herbert on the other side actually played worse than Minshew. 17 of 26, 144 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 sack, 92.5 passer rating. J.K. Dobbins, man, balled out, 135 yards on 10 carries, 13.5 yards per carry, and a touchdown.
Not get injured in the past. I can tell you that.
The Ravens. Look, I'm going to be honest. The Ravens shelled out a lot of money for Derrick Henry and got rid of J.K. Dobbins. They could have kept J.K. Dobbins, and he probably would have done better. Again, we're not going to.
Derrick Henry running backs just don't do it.
We're not going to talk too much about this game as well, but a game we will talk about. Bo Picks, man.
Wait,
Bo Picks. Go ahead. Go ahead.
One thing. I'm so sorry because I wrote this. Number one.
I didn't even see this.
And number 2, this is fucking insane to me because when everyone was defending, and I should say, not everyone, but when Raiders fans were defending Antonio Pierce's hiring as the head coach, they said that he's similar to DC. He's played the game. He has that kind of rough mentality where he's going to go for it on 4th. He's ballsy. We heard all of this from these Raider fans, right? That's how they basically compared him to other coaches and kind of gave him his flowers when he was hired. So they defended him with that specifically. And I looked at this game and I'm like, dude, something just didn't go right. And I watched the game on the Fight with Anthony. And it just didn't seem like that offense was good. I think their offensive line's horrible. I think that offensive coordinator is horrible. But the main thing, and I remember watching this and thinking, that doesn't happen very often, right? And it doesn't. It turns out, like I said, Antonio Pierce has been compared to DC, Dan Campbell, but he didn't go for it on 4th down. The Raiders are the first team to punt in opposing territory when trailing by 1 score in the 4th quarter on 4th and 1 since 2016. The 2016 Bills, with 7 minutes left, you were at like the 48-yard line, 4th and 1. Again, you're compared to DC, who goes for it all the time on 4th down. He doesn't go for it on 4th down. He punts the ball away, and then in his interview, he says that the reason why he did that was because he wanted to play the field position game. In his fucking interview, he said he wanted to play the field position game. When do you ever get into the fucking opponent's field position? Never. You won the fucking field position game already. Again, I'm not going to shit on them. I still think Antonio Pierce can be a good head coach. I just wanted to say that is fucking insane.
Bad first game. Bad first game.
Bad ape.
Bad ape.
Speaking of bad apes, man, Bo Nix, man. Bo Nix. We already talked about him, but the Broncos played Seattle in Seattle. 3rd time they've met in this type of environment in the last about 10 years now. But Seattle, man, just continues to beat up on the Broncos. Final score was 26-20. Seattle takes that. I'm going to just start with the Bo Nix. Well, actually, I don't even have to cover that. We already talked about it earlier. Josh Reynolds was pretty much the only guy that did anything. He had 5 catches for 45 yards, mainly when he was lined up against Trey Brown, who didn't have the best game. Geno Smith, speaking of not great games, Geno Smith didn't play his best game. 18 of 25, 171 yards, a touchdown, 2 sacks, an interception on his first throw. He was hit, but doesn't matter. An 87 passer rating. One thing I will say before I kind of give a minute or two on this game, Geno Smith, after the second half, completed 80% of his passes. The offense in the first half was actually one of the from me watching, was one of the most ugly offenses I've ever watched. That thing was Swiss cheese. They didn't have anything going for him. The second they started giving it to Ken Walker and shutting down the O-line, it looked a lot better. So that was a good sign. Kenneth Walker, though, 103 yards, a touchdown on 20 carries. He absolutely cooked in that second half. Went out for a little bit in the 4th quarter, but I think he'll be fine. I'm going to be really brief. Seattle, man. Seattle played a really bad Broncos team, and they made it too close. They started out the game looking really bad, and they finished it really good. The one thing I will say is, regardless of how that offense looked, my biggest frustration with this team has always been the lack of defense and the inability to get out off of 3rd down, because they traditionally would get to 3rd down and then they'd give up a big play. And it happened a lot against the Niners last year, a lot against the Commanders, all that stuff. That did not happen. Actually, Julian Love was the highest rated, the second highest rated safety this whole week. Tyreek Woolen had an interception. Devin Witherspoon had a couple that fell through his hands. Devin Witherspoon, the highest rated cornerback this week. Tyreek Woolen and them as a tandem were the highest rated duo. That defense, man, they put pressure. Boye Mafe was swarming, and you know what? They stayed level, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've noticed, and I've heard them talk about Mike McDonald, the new head coach, is that he stays level. Doesn't matter how the game's looking. He always keeps just a consistent mindset. And that defense reflected it, man. They were aggressive. They were swarming the ball. The Broncos, I think, they averaged 2.5 yards after the catch, because every time that they would make a catch, Rayshawn Jenkins or Tyrell Dodson, our safeties, would come down and just lay the boom. And for the first time in about 5 or 6 years, it felt like I was watching the prime time, early 2010s Seahawks. And so it was really nice to watch.
Whoa.
Oh, no. I'm going to be perfectly honest, man. That's the best I've seen that defense play. No, that's the best I've seen that defense play in the last 6 years. I'm being honest. That is
you're playing the Broncos.
No,
they
but
don't
listen.
have a wide receiver 1 and a rookie fucking quarterback.
Okay, but listen, you're talking about a new head coach, a new defensive coordinator, and a new offensive coordinator, along with no Bobby Wagner, no Quandre Diggs, no Jordan Brooks. You got Jamal Adams. You have four major players, all former Pro Bowlers, who are not in that team, and guys who were picked up for nothing, and they all played great. Seattle had 4 top 5 PFF graded defensive players. They balled out. Mm-hmm. They absolutely balled out and did what they needed to do. I won't talk too much anymore about that. We're going to bang
Julian
through
Love,
these
baby.
last couple games. Julian Love validating his contract.
Dog.
Deshaun Watson, Professor Sexual Assault. He doesn't look good at football. The final
he's
score of this
getting
game
railed on Twitter.
Yeah, 33-17. The Cowboys beat the Browns. I don't even really need to break down the stats. Deshaun Watson, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, took 6 sacks, a 51 passer rating. Dak didn't even play good. He took 3 sacks, had a touchdown, only 179 yards. Zeke had a touchdown. Good for him. Nice to see him back in a Cowboys uniform.
I love seeing that, man. Shout out to Zeke, man.
Yeah,
Also, I saw a tweet on Twitter, obviously, with Deshaun Watson, and it was like, someone get this man back on the massage table pronto. Like, dude.
Yep. And then immediately it came out that he had a case against him.
Yep.
And then immediately the typecasting meme with Geriatric Jones in the back.
Yes.
Like, That's so bad.
Here we go.
God.
Moving forward, Baker Mayfield validated every iota of that contract conversation.
He looks so good.
And debate.
Dude,
he looks great.
So good. Him and Derek Carr, the MVP candidates.
He was the highest rated quarterback all week. 24 of 30. They played the Commanders. Easy win. 37-20 the final score. Baker, 24 of 30, 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, a sack, 146 passer rating.
Mike Evans, better
yes, man.
Mike Evans, 2 touchdowns.
I said
Mike
last
Evans,
week
2
Baker was going to
touchdowns.
do well. I said it last week. Baker was going to do great last week.
You guys know the memes where it's like, hell yeah. You guys will watch this and be like, hell yeah. I feel like whenever I watch fucking Baker Mayfield highlights, I say, hell yeah. Hell fucking yeah, dude. He gets me fired the fuck up. He gets me fired the fuck up.
He did play for the Sooners.
And who would think after week 1, the MVP frontrunners potentially could be Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, based off of stats alone. They aren't actually, but if you're based off of stats, they'd be the frontrunners. I mean, insane.
Yep.
Shout out to both of them, man.
Baker played great. Okay, we're gonna cover the last game, and then I'm gonna let Zach cover the Niners game. Lions win big in prime time. I know. Look. I'm just gonna point this out real quick, and I'll make this very fast. The Lions did win this game 26-20 in overtime. You know, Zach was all, your Super Bowl pick to win it all. You know, took it. You know, they took a top 10 team to overtime. Whatever. Let's be honest, Zach. You picked the Bengals to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, and they lost to the Patriots, who you predicted to win 4 games. So I don't want to hear from you right now. You're not looking better than I am.
I came back and said exactly what you said to me, to be a douche.
The team I picked to win the Super Bowl is 1-0. The team you picked to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl is 0-1 against what you expect to be the worst team in the AFC. Lions win big in prime time. Jared Goff didn't have a great game. It's okay. He had his jitters. 18 of 28, 217 yards, a touchdown, an interception, 2 sacks, 85 passer rating. David Montgomery went absolutely ballistic in that overtime, 91 total yards, a touchdown. Jamison Williams, 121 yards. Matt Stafford looked really good up until he didn't. Had a crucial interception late. He finished with 317 yards, a touchdown, an interception, 2 sacks. Cooper Kupp looked every bit as advertised with Puka Nacua out, 110 yards and a touchdown. So great game.
14 receptions too. That was fucking nuts.
Yeah, 14 receptions.
I feel like
he tied his career high.
That Matthew was throwing to was him.
Yep, tied his career high. So look, our final game, and this is a little long episode, but it's the first week, so it's going to be like that.
Okay.
Zach, let's talk about the Niners, man.
Dude, okay. I want to say a couple things because you didn't let me defend myself, so I'm going to defend myself. Going back
No defending.
Hey, man, I'll say this. I knew the Bengals were going to start slow. They started slow, and the reason why I commented was because you two specifically said the Rams are ass. And
never said the Rams are ass. I said I like the Lions better.
I actually said the Rams are probably. I said the Rams are going to make the wild card. I don't think Seattle has a chance.
I don't think the Rams are ass.
Hey, Zach.
To be in the top 10, both you guys.
Zach, goalpost.
Dude,
you right
now.
Well,
hold on. Let me defend myself. You said you don't want the Rams in the top 10. They took the Lions team, who you guys think is the 3rd best team now in the NFL, the 2nd best team in the NFC, 3rd best team in the NFL, to overtime with 5 of their starters out. I'm just going to say that.
Yep, I stand on that.
Or Rams are underrated. There's one of the two. So that's all I'm saying.
Yep. I get it.
A little heated in the chat. I do apologize, Keaton, but
That's okay. I was at the movies, so
Either
we're
way,
kind of
and
going back.
realistically, we were going back. Like I was saying, I mean, I was a little bit animated just because this game was on, the 49ers versus the Jets game. And if you know my predictions, I said that if I was not a 49ers fan, this would be one of the games that I could potentially bet on for the upset. And again, there was another game that I said that I would probably bet on not for the upset, and that was the Bengals. So not looking too hot betting wise. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to the voicings, clearly, because we don't know what we're talking about. Cody's the worst at that. But again, the 49ers won 32-19. Basically, they won by 19 points because Tyrod Taylor came in and played against some of our starters, some of our backups, had a long drive, but it was 32-12 going into, or 13 going into that because they went for 6. Excuse me, they went 4-2, but only got 6. So the 49ers defense looked fucking great. Brock looked a little timid. I will say Brock did not start the greatest, but he ended 19-29, 231 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 2 sacks taken, and a rating of 89.9. The star player of the game was Jordan Mason, who was named the starter, quote unquote, because there was definitely some controversial opinions with this because
Christian McCaffrey
greatest, but CMC was I thought that just glitched out, but CMC was actually named a non-starter right before the game, which meant that Jordan Mason took over. He had 28 carries, 147 yards, and 1 touchdown, the most yards since he's been in high school for himself. So shout out to Jordan Mason. That shit was crazy. Obviously, I mean, he's been good, but every single time we need a clutch catch, he always comes up. He had 5 receptions, 64 yards.
Always does.
And it seems like every single one of those receptions were on third down.
His name's called all the time.
Yep.
I saw one play where one of the cornerbacks
so
was talking shit. He goes out next play, 5-yard out, first down on the same dude.
I love that. He's
so clutch.
My dude, and then he doesn't say anything. It's like he just drops the ball and moves.
He just keeps
doing it. I
love
love me some JJ, man. And realistically, he's not one of those guys that's going to take the top off the defense. Sure. He's not going to route you. He just gets open.
He just gets open.
He gets open.
Mason, man, second coming of CMC. I think that's could be the most dangerous backfield in the NFL. And if the Niners were smart, they would completely have him in the rotation, constantly rotate him, CMC, because he can prove, dude, he has such explosive power. I mean, as soon as he hits that hole, he is just fucking getting every single yard he can. Georgia Tech guy, if you guys didn't know that. Went to Georgia Tech, and I believe he was drafted in the
undrafted.
Was it undrafted? Yeah, that's right, undrafted. And I mean, he balled out, dude. So, like you said, Purdy looks a little timid in there, and he kind of did what he needed to do, just like Purdy normally does. Hopefully, he can throw a few more touchdowns. I need to hear Ayuk's number a few more times because that game was tough to see. Like, he drops a pass. That was a great pass by Purdy, and then doesn't really do much. I mean, he had one other catch, I think, in the third. He had a few catches and then one decent one in the third quarter.
And 2 catches.
I just didn't see why he's not proven to. I mean, I guess it's the first game, yes, but he better prove that
Wow, he missed all of mini camp.
Look.
Well, I mean, that was his choice. I mean,
Cody said. And continuing to go through this just because we do have a lot more to talk about. Brandon Ayuk looked really rusty. He had 2 drops, and people are going to say the one against Sauce was not a drop. That was definitely a drop. That was a dime piece by Brock. And then the second one was an even better throw by Brock Purdy. And Brandon Ayuk blatantly dropped the pass in the end zone. Yep. And that was the one that he got shit on. So I thought that was kind of crazy.
Throw by Brock.
Again, I thought Brock played well. And realistically, I mean, he did exactly what he did last year. What he was needed to have done, he did, and they called his number a couple times where he made good throws, and that's what he did. Yeah. And I mean, realistically, he should have a touchdown, and his rating should be better because Brandon dropped that. But shout out to Jake Moody because he went 6 for 6, and he went fucking crazy.
Absolutely.
My other thing that I wanted to say was that Fred Warner might be the best defensive player in the NFL. I mean, realistically, he went fucking nuts. He had
the bias in
highest rated
linebacker. Right in the beginning of the game, and he was the highest rate. I believe he was the highest rated.
PFF.
He was definitely the highest rated linebacker, but
he was the highest rated linebacker. Don't know how a linebacker moves like that I have never seen, and I know it's gonna look biased, but it's like, dude, if you really watch this dude, I mean, it's unreal. And if he keeps doing this for his career, I mean, like, come on, fellas. I mean, I have not seen another linebacker to play his position to fly like he does and absolutely just cause there's guys that are just absolute like up the middle run stuffer linebackers. There's plenty.
I feel like he's Luke Kuechly 2.0.
Yeah, but
He's
just
the
a
definition of a
step
hybrid
faster. I
linebacker.
think he's just a step or two faster than Luke Kuechly. But dude, I mean, he's just all over the place. I mean, he was making tackles left and right, and I think he is the backbone of our defense, and he's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, I think that he should be definitely in the discussion with Defensive Player of the Year award. And if he plays like that, he definitely will be. But I think he definitely should start to become in that conversation of best linebackers ever, maybe the best in our generation and the best 49er linebacker if he continues to do this and wins the Super Bowl within the next couple of years. I agree. He's a great player. It's a pleasure watching him. But talking about a pleasure of watching another player, Aaron Rodgers throughout his career has been one of the GOATs. He did not play bad, did not play great. Like I said earlier, Brock Purdy played well, and he actually outdueled Aaron Rodgers, which was kind of surprising. A-Rod had 13 of 21 for attempts, 167 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 really bad interception, and then an 82.8 rating. Breece Hall had 16 carries, 54 yards, a touchdown, and a fumble. He didn't look great, and I could talk about this all day, but he looked not like the running back that he was advertised to be. Again, I don't need to continue talking about that, but if you watch the game, he did not look super explosive. Allen Lazard looked pretty explosive to me. He had 6 receptions, 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns, 1 being, I believe, on that last drive with Tyrod Taylor. And then realistically, I mean, I guess if we had more time to talk about this, we'd probably talk if the Jets are legit because they did not look like a Super Bowl contender like a lot of people have said. And realistically, looking at the game, do you guys think A-Rod played good or bad? I mean, that will be the question.
No, he didn't play good. Didn't play good. I'll be honest, though.
I'm sorry. It's time
Robert
for him to hang
Saleh's.
up the cleats.
I'll be honest. I don't think Robert Saleh makes it through the end of the year as a head coach.
Agreed.
He's never proven it.
Thing to say because I think he really proved to get the position with how he was as a coordinator. But there are some guys that just can't do it. Avalos, perfect example. Great defense coordinator, can't do a head coach. Same thing with Saleh.
Dan Quinn, same way.
Just Aaron Rodgers, like I said, dude, he played bad. I think it's time for him to be done. I just don't think he's got that.
I don't think he played
anymore.
bad. I don't think he played that.
I think he played better.
I
think he could have played better.
I don't think he played better. Or I don't think he played bad, and I do think he could have played better. But I will say this too: you go into a season where you don't play in training camp. You saw what happened with Ayuk. You saw what happened with Jamar Chase. You saw what happened with a lot of these guys. And realistically, as a quarterback, you need to have a connection with these young wide receivers, and specifically Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he needs that. It's pretty fucking clear. Every single year he joins a new team, he doesn't trust these guys automatically, and really the guy that he threw to, Lazard, was a Packer. So you look at this, and it's just one of those things where it's like Garrett Wilson played well in the first half. I don't know why they abandoned throwing to him because he was low-key cooking our cornerbacks. And then Breece Hall, man, he's supposed to be a top 5 running back. He didn't play like it. Did not play like it. And one of the stats that I actually had, maybe I could pull it up still here, or maybe it's in the doc. Yeah, so it's right here. This stat to me I thought was insane. And realistically, when you look at a team like this and you want to blame guys, I think this is what you should blame. The Jets had the ball for 21 minutes and 20 seconds. That's the fewest time of possession by an Aaron Rodgers-led team in any of his starts. In 225 starts, that is the fewest time of possession he's ever had.
Yep.
So if you want to blame anything, I realistically think it was just mojo and coaching. I mean, as a quarterback that needs mojo and to continue to play well, I think you need time to develop. And if you don't have the ball and you get destroyed like the offense and defensive linemen did from the Jets, you're not going to play well no matter who you are. And
they got fucked up, dude.
The 49ers
that center had a bad game for the Jets. He was getting tossed around. I like Allen Lazard, though. I think it takes him a while to get going, but after a while, he starts to play pretty decent.
He's decent. He's a good wide receiver.
I don't think the Jets are anything to worry about, though, to be honest.
I will say this, though. I think personally, and maybe for bias, I thought the 49ers probably had, if not the most impressive win, the second most impressive win behind the Cowboys. That's my opinion. Or the Chiefs. I think those were the three teams. But yeah, I thought it was a good game, and I'm pretty happy with it.
Cool. Well, sweet. Look, let's cover a little bit of news. We'll make this pretty quick. We're a little bit over on time. Who cares? Week 1. Jordan Lovers. Holy shit. Jordan Love suffers MCL sprain. He's probably out. They said that it's even questionable if he plays. Man. Well, so they initially said 3 to 6 weeks. Then they're basically saying, hey, it's possible he might even play this week. However, yeah, I saw that if he can't play this week, Malik Willis starts instead of just, hey, Malik Willis.
Yeah, no.
So realistically, he's about 3 weeks out. So fantasy owners, just put him in your IR. Look, Tyreek Hill, man. We joked about the Tyreek Hill incident a little bit earlier, but he was arrested for reckless driving while he was on his way back on his way to Hard Rock Stadium for the first game. He was handcuffed and detained before being released. Miami-Dade County Police are investigating the matter to make sure that excessive force wasn't at play. Both officers have been placed on administrative leave until the whatchamacallit investigation is taking place. Tyreek Hill, in response to this, obviously claimed that excessive force was used. Honestly, I don't know how a guy like that doing reckless driving gets handcuffed and thrown to the ground. That's not we're not talking politics. However, he did make a touchdown celebration when he ran for that 80-yard touchdown, in which he showed himself putting himself in handcuffs and walking around the end zone. So that was possibly good for him to get a little lick back. Yeah, that was pretty nice.
Okay. It was definitely the best of week 1.
Yeah.
Best I've seen in a while. I'll say that.
Puka Nacua was removed early in the game with a knee injury. It's kind of a knee injury that he's been dealing with all offseason. I don't know if they have confirmed whether or not it was the same knee that re-aggravated. But what we do know is that he landed on his knee and landed on some sack that basically absorbs pressure, and it just aggravated his knee. So he's going to be out for several weeks now. So we don't know what that looks like. So if you have him, put him in your IR, try and go get someone. KJ Osborne's probably available in your league. So go for him. Nice flex player.
There we go.
Lastly, we had some videos, but due to time, we probably can't show them. We'd probably also get demonetized. Not that we make money on these, but the Raiders and the Chargers game ended up in multiple fights, not between players, which actually I found out later that several players were ejected for an on-field fight, but also fans. So fans got into fights.
Two teams can't stand each other, dude.
There was a couple videos that got released online showing multiple fights, including a slap match between two women that got really violent in the end zone. And then a brawl outside the stadium that saw one person get knocked out cold, and that same person that knocked out that guy body slammed a girl who was basically punching him. So it got really physical. Arrests have been made. I don't know if I have more than that, but pretty crazy. Typical NFC, or I'm sorry, typical AFC West stuff. At least, you know what? The Niners and Seahawks fans might, they might hate each other. We kind of keep it cordial. We just trash talk. We don't actually physically fight, but that's Raiders fans.
Raiders and Chargers fans for you.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Charger fans, but they'll fight.
Yeah. We had a couple game balls to give out. We're just going to basically blow right through these. So Nico Collins gets the best catch award. Best defensive performance award goes to the Bears. Defense, best game in our opinion was the Colts and Texans. Biggest upset was the Pats and Bengals. The best throw was Anthony Richardson's 70-yard bomb, which we had a video. Again, I won't show it. But the funniest moment of the week, Twitter moment at least, which might become a regular segment, was the Caleb Williams memes. Real quick, because Caleb Williams didn't really do anything and they were glazing him up and, he's the first quarterback, whatever. A lot of people were posting memes of like basically participation trophies and videos of like people doing absolutely nothing to get the end result. So pretty funny stuff. He gets our memed player award. So that's that. Look, we're going to talk about fantasy. Then we're going to give our preview and predictions, and we're done for the week. So I took a loss. I actually took 3 losses in all 3 of my leagues, which, truth be told, this actually might be my last season in fantasy altogether. I've just kind of lost the. No, I'm going to be honest, man. I lost the thrill in fantasy, and I've kind of had it all off season. But my biggest disappointment was Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jameson Williams absolutely cooked against the Rams, and Amon-Ra did not do much. He had basically 4.5 points for a guy I picked 5th overall. So not going to lie, looking like a T. Higgins, Debo Samuel situation through week 1, and I'm not happy. Biggest surprise player, Jake Moody, man, 26 points. Jake Moody. I shit on Jake Moody all last year. I'm glad I picked him up.
Confident.
He looked great. He looked so happy to be back. My most mediocre player, Dak Prescott, man. I shouldn't have been started him. I thought he'd be an easy win because Baker Mayfield was my benched quarterback, and Baker Mayfield had like 30 points. Dak Prescott had 11.5.
Brutal, dude.
Guy gets a fat contract and gets 11 points after all he did last season. Bothers me. So yeah, that's bad. It's whatever. We bounce back. We'll see how the next week goes. Zach, how did you do? Well, I know how you did.
I did great, man. I'll ask you one question. How do my balls feel in your mouth? I mean, fuck, both of them. Oh for
it's okay.
2.
Doesn't count. Doesn't count. I was playing MLB The Show.
I'm just playing, but I'll just run through this. I mean, I did beat Keaton twice, not trying to brag, but I did. In this league specifically, the PP Poo Poo Man, which is the one with all 3 of us in our main league with all the boys. The biggest disappointment that I had was Dalton Kincaid. Tight ends this week, for some reason, were just fucking awful. But
yeah, not
Dalton
even
had 2.1 points. I mean, that was fucking insane. The biggest surprise player was the Saints defense with 15 points or Anthony Richardson with 27. I kind of saw Anthony doing well, so I didn't think it was the biggest surprise player. So I thought the Saints defense with 15 was probably the biggest surprise player. And then the most mediocre was Keenan Allen. Looked slow, was wide open for potentially 2 touchdowns. He dropped 1 and then was actually overthrown for another one. So those are my awards for my team.
Meaty Allen, more like.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
well, so for me, just gonna point it out right now. This week I won 4 out of 5 of my fantasy leagues. I would admit went 5 for 5 if Brock Purdy wasn't so allergic to throwing to the ball to Ayuk. But that's okay. We're not gonna talk about it. He had 4 points from Ayuk. Yeah, he dropped 2, and that probably would have got me the win. But that's okay. We won 4 out of 5. I'll take it. But in this case, like we've all been talking about, the PP Poo Poo Men. Biggest disappointment, Jonathan Taylor with almost damn near 11 points. He's my biggest disappointment, the 2nd overall pick, running back. And I don't know. I know he's going to do better, but just probably by far on my team, the biggest disappointment, which I'll take, not bad. Surprise player, Saquon Barkley, number 1 running back in the league right now when it comes to fantasy. I'm not going to
lie. He might end as an RB1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saquon.
He looked popping off with a 33.2 points. Yeah, insane. I'll take that, honestly. I was super happy about that. He's going to have another good week this week, I think, against the Falcons. And then most mediocre, DJ Moore. I mean, it's fine, I guess. It's just the fact that he's on that Bears offense. Probably my most mediocre, but not my least disappointing player on my team. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Cool.
Before we move on to our week 2 predictions, I just wanted to say this, and this is probably the craziest stat that I've seen in a while, but this was the lowest passing yards per game average in week 1, I believe, ever. No, okay, excuse me. No, it's 2006. So it says quarterbacks averaged 188.3 passing yards per game in week 1. It's the lowest league average recorded since week 1 of the 2006 season. That is insane. If you guys know anything about the NFL, we are in kind of a day and age where passing is prominent. And for the average to be 189 yards, I thought that was insane. So I wanted to mention that.
Love it.
Jump into our week 2 predictions, and we have some good games. So
Tyreek Woolen contributed to that. Week 2. Look, let's wrap up this week. This long episode, extra long episode, just for you. Week 2 preview and predictions. We're gonna go around the table. So I'll start with Cody, go up to Ant, Zach, and then myself. We'll just simply say who we think's gonna win. Our Thursday night game, Bills at Dolphins. Cody, who do you got?
I got Dolphins.
Okay.
I got Dolphins on that one. I think at home, Dolphins, I think Tua is going to have a game.
Cool.
And, I think the Dolphins, I've never been a huge fan of the Bills, so going with the Dolphins on this one.
You know what? I'm going to go with Dolphins as well. Make it quick and sweet here. I think that Bills defense is going to get cooked by Waddle and Tyreek. So I think they're too fast, honestly. I like Josh Allen a lot, but I don't think that it's going to be enough. And I think Dolphins offense is just going to go blow right past
fast
defense. They're too fast.
Can't keep up.
Okay, Zach.
I'll say one thing and one thing only. It's September in Miami. Give me Miami.
Yep. I'm going to do the exact same thing. That Bills defense looked absolutely atrocious. And truth be told, the Dolphins defense didn't look all that bad. I think Tua is going to – I think Tua is –
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
If it's one of the games where we see a shootout between both the teams, I think Miami wins solely because the Bills defense is trash and Josh Allen can't do it all. It's also September in Miami, and they are not going to be slowed down.
They're a warm weather team.
So.
Yeah. Well, Tyreek's not going to be slowed down in his vehicle either. Okay, our 10 a.m. games. We have a couple rarities for a 10 a.m. game. Seahawks at Patriots. Look, Cody, I'm gonna let you talk about who you think's going to win here.
Seahawks at Patriots, huh? God,
we'll make this quick.
Patriots and Seahawks fans in the house right now. I'm gonna have to go with the Seahawks on this one.
Cool.
I think the Seahawks. I don't know. I love Jacoby Brissett, but I don't know how that guy's gonna play. Consistency wise. I think Geno Smith might come out and just tear that defense to shreds. But we'll see what happens. I mean, a lot of question marks too on the Seattle side, kind of a ragtag group on the defensive side of the ball. So we'll see what happens, but I think it will be a close matchup, but I got the Seahawks winning that one.
Okay. So I could see this. I could see it going both ways. Okay. But I can definitely see the picture of the Patriots winning this. I'm not trying to be biased with it, but you know what?
Sure.
I can actually see the picture of them winning. So I am going to go with the homer pick, and I will go the Patriots on this.
Okay, I can respect that.
Give me the Patriots, baby.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
We kind of planned this. Fuck with you, kid.
Yeah, we did.
Look, man, I think there's a shot that the Patriots can do it. I don't think they're going to do it 2 games in a row, and they are definitely not the favorite in this game. So I think it's safe to say Seattle wins this one.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Seattle's got a cupcake schedule these first 2 games, and the Patriots are no brainer. I just watched that defense dismantle a quarterback who played just like Jacoby Brissett. I don't see how they play worse. I think they get more comfortable. So yeah, give me the Seahawks. Fair. I think it's an absolute slaughter this week. Okay, 49ers at Vikings. Sam Darnold returns 49ers. To 49ers.
49ers. I don't even think we need to go in order on this.
Okay. Cool.
We can make this next one quick too.
Cool. Raiders at Ravens. Give me the Raiders. The Raiders. Just kidding.
Give me the Ravens.
Kidding.
Ravens.
God, fucking
here,
Raiders, dude.
Jets at Titans. I'm gonna let Cody go first on this. I have a weird prediction here.
I don't know. I think the Jets might. After that performance, I think Aaron Rodgers either has to kind of nut up or shut up here and come out and try to beat this Titans team. But I don't know, dude. I feel like it's going to be a very, very interesting game. But I'm going to go with the Jets on this.
Cool.
I'm going to go with the Jets. I'm going to go with the Jets too. If the Titans lost to the freaking Bears, no, I'm going with the Jets.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think the Jets bounce back and beat the Titans for sure.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm also I'm actually going to be contrarian. I think the Titans. I think they had they played really good against the Bears team up until they didn't, and I just watched that Jets team just struggle to do what they do best, and I don't know, man. I think Will Levis is going to bounce back big. Saints at Cowboys. I'm going to take
He
the
always
Saints.
does.
Going with Saints.
He always does bounce back.
Saints.
I'll never take the Cowboys in anything.
I'm going to see an upset. I want to see an upset with the Cowboys, and I want to see the Saints.
I'll make
win
this quick. Cowboys. I'll make it quick. I think the Cowboys win.
Cool. Okay, Bucks at Lions. Cody.
I think Motor City's gonna have that place rocking. I think Detroit's taking that win.
I agree. I think Detroit's going to win that.
I think it's gonna be a close game, but give me Detroit.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think Baker Mayfield's going to light up that secondary, but I still have faith in the Lions to just lock it
Me
down.
too.
Aiden Hutchinson is everything he's advertised to be. So
Need to start Williams.
yeah,
You fucking
Cody,
went off last game. That was bad of me to have him on my bench.
Cody, I'm going to be perfectly honest, and this is off topic. Cody, I'm going to be off topic a little bit. I think you could stop Aiden Hutchinson one-on-one. So next game, Browns at Jags.
Oh God, that's such a gross matchup. Jesus,
I'm taking the Jags.
God, give me the Argonauts and the CFL. Jeez, I don't even want to pick
Talk
a
about
team.
disgusting.
I'll go with the
This
Jags
next one.
though.
Jags. I'll take the
This
Jags.
next one's even worse.
Yeah, Giants at Commanders. Probably the worst matchup of the week.
Oh my God.
Two teams vying for a number one spot.
Are we agreeing that this is
vying
the
for
meme? Are we
Shador.
agreeing that this is going to be the
Commanders.
meme matchup of the week, fellas?
Yeah. This is this is the Tank Bowl. This is the Tank Bowl of the week.
The Tank Bowl. Okay.
This is
Okay.
the Tank Bowl matchup of the week. I honestly, I think I'm gonna just pick Bane exploding the stadium as the kickoff starts. Give me the Commanders, man. Give me the Commanders. Jaden Daniels is good enough to win a game.
I think he's good.
So.
I like him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's gonna be a baller. Okay, Colts at Packers. No Jordan Love in this. Malik Willis is gonna be their starter for the foreseeable future. I'm gonna take the Colts. They showed everything they needed to do to win.
Yep.
Okay.
Very good.
Couldn't agree more.
Chargers at Panthers. Cody.
Yuck. Oh. Chargers at Panthers.
At Panthers. Carolinas.
I mean, they're just gross. I just don't think they have any.
You can't do it.
There's just no way they're winning that game.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got to go with the Chargers.
Same. I agree. I'm going to go with the Chargers. Justin Herbert still sucks.
Great. Zach?
You heard my opinion, and I don't want to continue because I'm going to get pissed off by what Anthony just said. So I'll repeat it. Go Chargers. Well, not go Chargers, but I think the Chargers will win. And that's it. I'm not going to say anything else.
Yeah. Well, I will fully agree with Anthony. I think Justin Herbert's so overrated. And that's not just to piss off Zach. I really felt like he was so underwhelming this week, especially with Jim Harbaugh as coach. But that's fine. I'm taking the Chargers in that game too. Rams in our late slate. Rams versus Cardinals in Arizona, our NFC West matchup. I really think this is going to be a slugfest.
I could see this ending either in a huge blowout or it's going to come down to the last possession. But I'm going to go with the Rams and just be safe.
Cool.
I'm going to go with the Rams as well. I agree. It's going to be a close game, but Rams.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cardinals this week. I actually thought they did a lot to win that game, and I don't know, maybe they'll surprise me. So, Steelers at Broncos. This is going to be a weird game. Russell Wilson hopefully gets to get a little bit of his lick back. We know what happened last time he tried to do that. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Steelers.
Too much. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Bo Nix has it. But hey, Josh Allen sucked in his first game, so maybe Bo Nix is okay. Bengals at Chiefs in our last late slate game. We only have 3 this week. Chiefs. This is gonna be an absolute romper.
Chiefs.
Oh God.
Taking the Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs.
I don't want to do it, but I'm going to. Give me the Bengals. Bounce back game.
Well, you have to. You kind of have to say that. I mean, that's your Super Bowl team.
I do.
So
I mean, starting is not the worst thing I've seen out of the Bengals, but it would be tough.
Okay. Well, our Sunday night game, Caleb Williams in prime time. Look, this is going to be a great game. Bears at Texans. Look, let's be honest, man. CJ Stroud, but this defense though, it's
I still think the Texans are going to win.
It's Texans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans. I'm
Too
taking
much.
the Texans.
Too
That
much
Bears defense
firepower.
might wreak havoc, though. I'm not going to lie to you.
I agree.
Okay. Our last game of the week and our last little thing. Falcons at Eagles. Monday night game. Yeah, Eagles.
There's no way the Falcons are winning that game.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's it. Well, look, thanks for tuning in this episode, Cody.
Yes, thanks for having me, boys.
My first kiss.
Thanks for being on there. We appreciate it. Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Please like, subscribe, comment.
Like and subscribe.
Kiss other boys. Subscribe. Whatever you want to do it.
All right.
Thanks
Later,
y'all. For so long. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
Covered in the end zone, 20. It goes back 1st and 10 to a Thunderbolt. Armstead the block, and he's going deep. He's caught Hill. Foot race. Driving. That is 6. Oh, he's a ghost. 80-yard touchdown.